Ramachandra from the NR Media NR Hour Sports Show, back with another episode. Happy Sunday! I hope everyone is having a great weekend as we approach Thanksgiving week coming up. Enjoying the holidays with the family and friends. But before I introduce today's guest, fans, you already know we are live on iHeartRadio, Spotify at the same time on all podcast platforms, and also everybody knows about the Speaker app on my phone, where the fans can tune in and ask questions to every guest that we have on the show. But without further ado, we have a current MLB pitcher Jay Jackson, who is currently a free agent and recovering from his rehab. He just told me that he feels good. He's getting better, and now he's looking for another opportunity in the major league. So I can't wait to talk to him. But he also played in Japan, which we'll get to. He played in the Japan League. It's an interesting league. Whoever doesn't know about that, amazing talent over there. And now you see players getting posted from that league all the time to come to the majors. So I can't wait to get his thoughts on his experience in Japan. And he played with a bunch of teams in the major league: Padres, Brewers, um, Braves, Blue Jays, and most recently the Minnesota Twins, who's a great young team coming up too in the major league. So, Jay Jackson, I just wanted to say thank you for joining. And also, he has a podcast called the Brush Back Podcast. Go check that out on all social media formats on Instagram. They do a great job breaking down the game of baseball and free agency, obviously coming up here. So, but Jay, thank you again, and can't wait to talk about your journey. How are
Oh
you?
no, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. It's been a crazy journey, right? Like it's
Yeah.
just been a long, crazy journey, and now we're getting to the end of it. Just looking forward to riding off into the sunset on a good note. Last year was a little tough with the injuries and just trying to play through injuries. And I mean, obviously, people don't understand that I
Mm.
was playing through injuries. The numbers just look like the numbers, but I was playing through a couple little nagging injuries most of the year. So don't want to end on that note necessarily. So we're gonna try to get healthy and get back out there and give it one more try.
Yeah, before we get to your journey and how you got started, tell our fans how unique is it for you to be in free agent right now, and all the players love to be free agents so they can explore what teams they want to go to, and you're part of a unique one this year with like Juan Soto and the other free agents that are out there. So how unique is it for a player just to experience free agency? And you did a lot of times. So just talk about that.
No, free agency is awesome because you kind of see where you feel like who wants you. You're not just going somewhere because you have to go to a certain point until it gets so late in free agency, right? But for the most part, like the first month or two of free agency, the top guys, granted, I was never one of the top guys. I wish I was,
Yeah.
but all the top guys are just seeing who wants them and who wants them the most and
Yeah.
like where they're going to be comfortable. And that's awesome. As far as minor league free agency, like I've been through tons of those and been wanted by a lot of teams most of the years for minor league free agency. So in that aspect, you get to see which teams value you for depth necessarily, which teams are interested in having you there, be a presence, and they tell you all the good things about the organization and how they
Right.
see you and where you're gonna fit. And so I can only imagine what it's like for Juan Soto and Shohei when they were going to these places and the teams just pretty much courting them and giving them pretty much whatever they wanted.
Yeah, so yeah, we'll talk about more about free agency, but talk about your journey. You were born in South Carolina, Greenville, and talk about that. Talk about your early life, and when did you get interested in playing baseball?
Man, my parents always tell me that I was born like most people are born with like a silver spoon in their mouth. But they said I was born with pretty much silver like sports equipment in my crib, pretty much because they said like I got a basketball goal in my crib at a certain point. I always had like a football or baseball in the crib. But I ended up starting playing like organized baseball when I was 4. And so I've been playing since I was 4. I started at T-ball at Northwood Little League in Greenville, South Carolina, and I'm here now. I've been playing for this long. I actually was able to go to the Little League World Series regionals in Florida with Northwood Little League when I was younger. So I've been playing for a while. I've been going to a lot of cool things and experienced a lot of nice, crazy things along the way.
Yeah, so in baseball, when you were playing, when got started in baseball, did you play any other positions growing up and before choosing being a pitcher?
Well, that was the thing. I didn't choose being a pitcher either. That's the
Oh,
crazy part about it.
yeah.
Like I was drafted as a pitcher, but even in college, like I played mostly every infield position
Yeah.
and I played outfield. I just didn't catch like in college, but yeah, I played all over the infield when I was growing up. I really wanted to be an outfielder. So King Griffey Jr. and Barry
Mhm.
Bonds were my idols. So I always wanted to play. I played center field everywhere I went up until I started pitching in college. The only reason I didn't play outfield my junior year is because I started so much
Mhm.
and I pitched so many innings that they put me at first base. So I was a first baseman my junior year. But I played every position on the infield except for catcher growing up. And I mean, that's I loved it. I played basketball too, so
Yeah.
it wasn't just baseball. I was always playing basketball as well.
Yeah, so we are live with pitcher Jay Jackson. Fans, put your questions in the Speak Wrap. I'll answer some of your questions also. And speaking of basketball and playing multiple sports, and a lot of kids now playing multiple sports in this generation. So talk about what it was like for you. How important was it for you to play multiple sports growing up?
It was very important. I feel like more kids now are specializing in one sport, which is crazy to me to think of that like these kids don't want to go play other sports, not only for, to learn different movements and be more athletic, but also to have different groups of friends. You don't want to just get stuck necessarily with the same friends your whole entire life. It's not a bad thing. But for me, having different groups of friends, you can see different types of people and learn different things from everybody and you're not just kind of stuck in one little bubble in one little mold.
Hmm.
But it's hugely important for me to play different sports just because you move different in different sports. It's all the same base, but you get to move different. You get to do other things in other sports, especially like in basketball where you're jumping and you're sprinting more, and your conditioning's probably better, and you're actually getting hit like to a certain degree, like when you're driving to the paint and stuff like that. But if you're playing football as well, you're doing different things. You're sprinting more. You're getting tackled. You're getting hit. There's contact. There's different things that I feel like it just makes you more athletic on a baseball field if you play multiple sports.
Hmm. Yeah. So talk about your college experience, and you went to Furman University. But before that, talk about your recruitment and how many colleges recruited you, and what made you choose Furman University.
Well, it's kind of funny with my recruitment too. The coach at Furman kind of started recruiting me my freshman year of high school. So I kind of knew I was going to Furman, but I didn't know I was going to Furman because I wanted to go to either Miami or Stanford coming out of like middle school in my
Yeah.
first like freshman and sophomore years. I really wanted to go to Miami or Stanford, but the coach at Furman had a guy that played on my like high school fall ball team that was already going to Furman and was like the top prospect in like the whole state pretty much and like one of the top prospects in all the southeast. And he's like, hey, we're getting him. And then like he was kind of saying, Jay, like I know that you're gonna be good at baseball too. Just make sure you have us in the back of your mind, like blah blah. Like we could have you and this other guy on our team and we could be like a powerhouse and you're both from Greenville. Like it could be something nice. And I was just like, I really don't want to stay at home. Like so I was actually looking to go somewhere else. And just like everybody else, I think all the kids out there, like you get all the letters in the mail.
Yeah.
Like I probably had two, three, four shoe boxes of like just like the information letters and the letters from the coaches from every like college pretty much in America for baseball and basketball at that point. But as far as baseball, it came down to let's see, I talked to a couple big schools, but more schools kind of figured out I was going to probably stay closer to home just because my sister is like my favorite person in the world and she has Down syndrome. So I wanted to be closer to home where I didn't, my family didn't have to travel as much either. But South Carolina talked to me for a bit. Clemson was there, the Citadel, Walford. There's some schools in North Carolina. I talked to North Carolina State,
Hmm.
just a little bit. I talked to Tennessee a little bit. So it was just the recruitment process for me was I thought I was playing basketball, and then some schools didn't talk to me either because I didn't necessarily want to play baseball only. I
Right.
wanted to try to play both basketball and baseball in college. Didn't end up happening. It was actually what got me to Furman is because the coach that got me there, even though he was recruiting me since, like I said, freshman year. He actually played basketball and baseball at Furman.
Oh wow. Hmm.
So he's like, "Hey Jay, like if you come here, I'll let you walk on the basketball team after your freshman year. You know, we're gonna get you the first semester in there to get acclimated to school. Then you'll have baseball, and if you do well in baseball, we'll let you walk on the basketball team your sophomore year." I was like, "That's a good plan. Like I can see that working because a lot of the other schools just wanted me to play baseball
Right.
or just basketball." And I was like, "All right, that works. I get to be close to home." And so that kind of sealed the deal. Granted, he did not let me play basketball ever, which
Oh
was
wow.
probably the smartest thing he did. But yeah,
Hey, you could have been like Michael Jordan playing basketball and baseball too.
I wanted to. That was the goal. I thought I was a better basketball player than baseball player, truly. Growing up and coming through high school and just like AAU and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, ultimately, it turned out I was better at baseball. I
Uh,
was a
we
little small for basketball
have
too.
we have a fan question here on our phone, on my phone, on the speed grab. One of our fans wants to know, with you when you were playing multiple positions in baseball, did you ever think to yourself maybe you could have been a two-way player like Otani? They want to know if you were able to be like a two-way player.
No, I was definitely able to be a two-way player. I thought I was. Like that was the whole point of when I got drafted. I got drafted to a National League team. I I was a starter, so I got to hit more too. Like my first official at bat in Double A was a home run.
Oh,
So like I was never a terrible hitter. My junior year of college, I hit like 320 or something like that, I
wow.
believe. So I was never a bad hitter. I loved hitting and loved playing like the outfield more than I
Right.
loved pitching actually. So I definitely thought I was going to be a two-way player. I thought that if pitching didn't work out, that I would try to be a position player. But I was just blessed that I got to be a starting pitcher in the National League organization at the time when we still got to hit. So
Yeah.
I've got a couple home runs in the minors. So I'm all right.
Yeah.
I'm all right.
Yeah. So speak.
I've got a couple. I've actually got like almost. I've truly got every offensive category checked off in
Oh
the
wow.
minor leagues as a hitter.
Wow.
I've got a stolen base. I've got a triple. I've got a double. I've got a home run. Like
Damn.
I've got everything. I think so.
Right. You're gonna go down as one of the best players in minor league history, though.
I hope so. That'd be cool. If they ever did a list like that, that'd be cool to be recognized as
Yeah.
something like that. Eventually, that'd be tight.
That's hard to do, but that's hard to do for most people. But that's amazing. That's a great achievement right there.
No, it's awesome, man. I love just every aspect of playing baseball. Like I just truly enjoyed playing baseball. I feel like I love the game. I love knowing the nuances. Love the how introspective you can be and think about on every play. Like there's always something that you really have to be doing
Yeah.
if you want to have everything fall in the right place. So it's always been a game of chess, not checkers for me when it comes to baseball.
Yeah. So tell our fans, what was Furman University like? Talk about the atmosphere, the college field, and when you were playing on pitching on the mound. Talk about that, like that. You know.
It actually wasn't like it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great. It's a small liberal arts school, so it wasn't like I had the atmosphere like at a Clemson or South Carolina or these big schools you see like Ole Miss and
Mhm.
Florida State where they have 5,000, 7,000, 10,000 people at the games all the time and it's like a party and all this stuff. It was really like low key and you could think for the most part and you could execute and there wasn't a lot of noise. But we did get to play against South Carolina and Clemson at South Carolina and Clemson and at the Greenville Drive Stadium that we have in South Carolina, which is the low A team for the Boston Red Sox.
Oh yeah. Hmm.
And all the fans would come out and stuff. And those games were always fun. I enjoyed those so much. It makes me sometimes wonder what if I would have went to a bigger school, like how I would have played, because I think I would have played actually a lot better than I did in college. I think I would have been better, but those games were so much fun. They were amazing. I enjoyed just being on the mound. I enjoy being on the mound more now so in those bigger stadiums than when I was in college. So it's always a great time. It's fun. That's how I like to. You just got to have fun.
Yeah, college is all about fun and also just obviously education, but have fun and enjoy yourself and relax with friends and just enjoy. That's it. That's all. And We have a question. Question. I'm seeing Twitter right now. I saw so from Jay's not getting soda. It says here, some Twitter account saying we need an update on your son Jay. He says we all love you and are curious.
JR,
Yeah.
JR's actually sick right now. I just
Oh,
talked to him and talked to my fiance this morning. He's been sick the past couple days. He had a little ear infection and a little virus, but he's getting big. He turned, obviously he's 17 months right now, but
oh wow.
that's my little boy. That's my pride and joy. He is getting huge, just being a menace. He's climbing on everything right now, crawling all over the place, biting on everything. He's got like 7, 8 teeth now, so
Wow.
he's getting big. That's I'm blessed to have him in my life. That's the
Mhm.
true miracle of life, is seeing him just be able to crawl around and stuff right now. So yeah, he's doing great besides being sick right now.
I hope he feels
long
better.
long answer to it.
I hope he feels better. I'm wishing him a
I
speedy.
appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Will we see him in the future playing baseball or any sport?
I hope so. I hope so. I'm gonna be there to support him whatever he wants to do.
Yeah.
Just the fact, like I said, that he's made it this far. Whatever he wants to do, as long as he enjoys it, he wants to be great at it. Like I hope it's golf, honestly.
Hmm. Golf.
I hope it's golf because then I can go play some golf with him and we can do that for a long time instead of baseball for a bit. I can leave the arm down for a little bit, you know what I mean? Let it rest. But no, like I hope he just is successful at whatever he does and he loves doing whatever he does. Like for me, I was lucky and blessed enough for it to be baseball, but I hope he does play sports because I want to be in the stands cheering him and coaching him and helping him do the right things. Try to do it to the best of his ability.
Mm. Yeah, so tell our fans about your draft experience. You got drafted in '08 by the Chicago Cubs in the ninth round of the Major League Draft. So talk about that, being with your friends, family, and what was that like when you got the call from the Cubs?
I tell this story so many times, and it's actually because this is actually, I guess this is live the first time that anybody's gonna see it. But
Oh,
this is the first copy of my new book
oh
that I
wow,
wrote.
990.
So we actually get to this is live, so
That's
people get to actually see it. This is the first copy. I get to check it and see and make sure everything's good before we start having people pre-order and
that's
sell and
awesome.
whatnot. So um, but I tell this story in there a little bit. My draft experience was pretty much terrible compared to most people's probably because I was projected to go in the first like 3, 4 rounds at first. I had talked to all the teams, talked to all the scouts.
Mhm.
So I have a draft party because, it's the first day of the draft. Like at the time you have the first 5 rounds on the first day, and then the next day you have like the next, I think like 15 or something like that. So I have a draft party because I think I'm getting drafted like first 2 rounds were on TV, like I'm projected, whatever. Having the party, don't get drafted. Don't get on the TV draft. We're sitting around the computer, everybody's waiting to see like if I pop up in the first 5 rounds, blah blah, nothing. So I am distraught. Like it's terrible. Like I feel bad. I feel like I let everybody down, obviously. But end up the next day, like I get a bunch of phone calls after the 5th round, like, "Hey, we're gonna take you with the next pick of our 6th round draft. Like, we're surprised you're still on the board. Blah blah blah, all this stuff." And next day, wait the 6th round, wait the 7th round, nothing. So after the 7th round, I'm like, all right, like I'm supposed to go play up in Cape Cod anyway, so I'm gonna go pack and get ready to go to Cape Cod. All of a sudden I get a text message from one of my friends. Like I had stopped watching the draft completely. So I get a text message from one of my friends at the time and she's like, "Congratulations, you're a Cubby." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" Like she's like, "Yeah, you just got drafted." And I'm like, "No chance." So I go look at the computer finally. I got drafted by the Cubs. I get a phone call like a couple minutes later, like, "Hey, we just took you in the draft ball. What are you thinking about doing?" Blah blah. I'm like, "I'm going to Cape Cod first. Like, you can talk to my agent." Like, I'm surprised that I was still here, but like, I'd rather play baseball and not go back to school and start my career earlier. But if it doesn't work out, like, I can always go back to school because I just had a good year playing. Like, I'm not opposed to going back. So that was my draft experience. I literally didn't know I got drafted.
That's crazy. Uh, uh, but they don't they usually call? I guess they call. I guess they don't call you till after till later, huh? Afterwards.
Yeah, they call you before, I think if you're in the first or the second round because they're like giving that much money to you and you have like they want to make sure that you still are signable pretty much at that point. Like they're probably negotiating with your agent or whoever at that time. But after what round three, I would say, it's more we're just going to pick you and then we'll negotiate later with the money that we have left over. Or if you're that much of an importance to us, then we'll negotiate right away.
Mhm.
So
Oh,
I
okay.
just again wasn't that lucky to be one of the top guys. Like
Yeah.
my junior year, I didn't have like a bad year either.
All
I
right.
think as a starter for most of the year, I was leading the nation in wins.
Oh, wow.
I was 9-0 at a certain point, like in the season. Like I was leading the nation in wins. I ended up with like a 3
Mhm.
ERA, like a 3.1 or something like that, and I ended up like hitting like 300 with like 8 or 9 homers or something like that too. So I didn't have a bad year.
All right, we have another fan question here. One of our fans wants to know who are some of the hitters so far in your career that you had to face, and which are tough to game plan against?
I've been lucky enough that a couple seasons that like I've had like I've been put in good situations and good matchups a lot of times. But I mean, I faced like every big hitter you can think of. I
Hmm.
mean, 2 years ago I was in the NL East, so I faced Devers, I faced Judge, I faced Stanton, I faced Otani, I faced everybody for the most part. Otani's getting tougher and tougher to pitch to as he's gotten older and he's
Yeah.
learning the strike zone and learning his body. But I mean, that's what he's supposed to do. He's a great hitter. He's a great player. And then you have Judge. Judge is a tough at bat anyway, just because he's so strong. Like any ball that he hits has a chance to do damage somewhere. But I think one of the tougher guys over in America, I would say, is probably Rafael Devers. Devers is tough. Like Devers is tough. Like he keeps his hands back so well when he's hitting that even if he gets fooled on a ball and it looks like he's out in front, like his hands are still back and he can get to these balls that like most people can't. Like it's unbelievable. Like he hit a home run off me this year on a pitch that wasn't a terrible pitch. It wasn't a great pitch. Like it should have been a better pitch, honestly, but most guys don't hit that ball out. Like, you know what I mean? So he's definitely one of the tougher at bats. And then I think I've said this so many times, the toughest at bat I've ever had
Hmm.
and the toughest guy I've ever faced was a guy in Japan that literally all he would do was foul balls off until you walked, because then he would just steal second base.
Wow.
So literally, I was throwing balls like right down the middle instead of just hitting it in fair territory. He fouled it off. Like his bat control was unbelievable. It was crazy to think about, but like he had like the league record for most foul balls like
Wow.
in a season, like 3 seasons in a row.
Hmm. Interesting. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah. So speaking of,
Oh, also before I finish, I got to face like back in the day, like tough hitters, Adrian Gonzalez.
oh, yep.
I faced Mookie Betts, obviously, but I faced Freddie Freeman a bunch of times, Jason Hayward.
Yeah.
The list goes on because I mean, when I got like my first time getting called up in 2015, my last um my last outing I had that year, I faced like the heart of the Dodgers order in 2015. That was an unbelievable team as well.
Hmm. That had Adrian Gonzalez on there, right? That year.
Yeah, the Adrian Gonzalez, I faced Nolan Arenado, Goldsmith. Like
Wow.
you just throw all these guys in there. I faced them all.
Yeah, speaking of your major league debut, you got called up in 2015, September 14th, by the San Diego Padres. Another great franchise in baseball. So talk about what was that call up like, and for you and your family, and the whirlwind, and when you stepped on the mound for the first time.
That was one of the most nervous times I've ever been in my life. Honestly, that was probably the most nervous I've probably ever been in my baseball career to go pitch in a game. But the call up process was kind of again funny story. We the season was over. Normally, you get called up at the beginning of September for most guys if you're going to be called up, and they called like 2 guys up because they said that we were going to the playoffs and they wanted to keep the team together for the AAA playoff run and whatnot. So they didn't call everybody up. And so they called a couple guys up. We ended up losing in the first round. And then everybody was packed up and went home. And then then I was staying back in El Paso for an extra day just to get all my stuff together so I could leave the next day because I didn't want to rush myself because I was just like, yo, it's the end of the season. Like, I'm gonna hang out for a minute. Like I've been on the go like all year.
Right.
And so I'm hanging out in El Paso and literally about to go get dinner and I get a phone call and they're
Hmm.
like, hey, are you in South Carolina or are you like where are you at right now? And I'm like, why? What's up? Like I was like, I'm actually in El Paso right now. And they're like, oh, just to let you know, congratulations on the season, blah blah blah. How long's it been that you've been in the minors? And I was like, I don't know, like 8 years or something like that. Like he's like, oh, you've had a great season. Just want to let you know, congratulations. We're calling you up to the big league team to meet them in Arizona. Blah, blah. I'm like, oh snap! I was like, all right. And I was actually on the phone at the time, so I was like, give me a sec. Clicked over, ended my other phone call, got back on. I was like, all right, yeah, for sure. Like he's like, what do you want to do? I was like, I'm coming tonight, blah, blah. And then literally in the game the next day
Oh my.
and was just, again, nervous, but obviously hadn't picked up a ball in like 2 days either. So a little rusty too. So I give it both of those. But yeah, it was, got in the game the next day, had a terrible outing. And then from there, career's been a lot better.
Wow. Yeah. So you got two phones that day, huh? Two phones.
No, I just had one. I was just on
Oh,
the phone. I was
oh,
on the phone with one of my family members, just like I said, I was about to go to dinner, and I was just talking to them, just having a normal conversation, and like literally, like had the conversation, like, "Hey, you're going." I was like, "Hey, like I got to call you back." Like,
we have another fan question here. One of our fans wants to know, who are some of the funniest teammates that you played with in your career so far?
funniest.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody in the bullpen's always a good time. Like everybody's got their own personalities, and I think one of the funniest teammates I have was probably over in Japan was Seiya, who plays for the Cubs now. He was a goofball over there, but he was younger than he is now. I think he's grown up a little bit by now. But I've had a lot of great teammates. Each one, like, I think one of my favorite teammates is Marcus Mateo, and then the other one is Rafael Dolis. Those are like two of my favorite teammates of all time um, from my earlier days. And then I can't forget my boys Marquez and Tony Thomas from back in the day. And as I've gotten through these like past couple years, I've had great bullpens. I've had this year I had Matt Bowman in my bullpen with
Yeah,
me.
Matt
I've
Bowman
had
too.
Jordan Romano's been awesome. I had Zach Littell used to always do the trivia games when we were in San Francisco. Um, the year I was with the Padres, I had an older bullpen, so I had Craig Kimbrell. I
Yeah.
had who else was over there with us? I
Oh,
had James Shields was back there in the
thank
day. Like,
you.
so I've had a bunch like my teammates. I've had so many teammates. Has been awesome. Like,
Yeah.
is they've all been their own different people.
That was the year when they went all in for that off season, right? With
Yeah,
Matt Kemp, Justin Upton. Uh,
all of them.
yeah. That's
Yeah, that was that too. That was that squad. Yeah, I was with them.
wow. Yeah, so speaking of so I'm just curious, I want to get your take. So you see a lot of pitchers now transitioning from being a starter to a bullpen to the bullpen and like for example, take Luke Weaver for example. Used to be a starter, now he's one of the best I wouldn't say one of the best yet, but up and coming closers now in the league. But for you, how long did it take you to transition from being a starter to the bullpen?
It wasn't a. I mean, that wasn't my choice either.
Yeah.
Like, it's never your choice when that happens. But you always have been like. I mean, you're a pitcher. You just have to change your routine. Is all it is. So it's not a smooth transition because you have to figure out what you have to do because being a starter is so routine oriented compared and bullpens are too, but like your routine has to be shorter, a lot shorter, and it has to be you have to be 100% and be able to like do a lot, not a lot more, but you have to do more with less, like a lot of times. So I started my first 6 7 years. I was a top prospect as a starter up until the team said that they needed bullpen help in the big leagues when I think it was what 2011, somewhere in there. And then I started being the swingman role, which was
Right.
I would always tell guys like to avoid being the swingman if you can at all times, especially in the minors. Like know that you can do it, but just don't do it in the minors because you're going to get lost in the shuffle
Yeah.
between a lot of guys a lot of times when you do that. And so I was the swingman for like the next couple years and got lost in the shuffle and was trying to figure it out. And then when I literally just stuck with just being a bullpen guy, I think that started in 2013,
Mhm.
13 or 14. No, I was still, I think 15. 15 was the official year that I was bullpen only and I got to the big leagues.
Wow. Yeah, it's just after you spend time with the Padres, you went to the Carp in Japan for 2 years. So talk about that experience going to a different country and moving there and experience a different culture and obviously the language and also the food and just talk about that experience that league in Japan.
I loved it. I enjoyed it so much. Like I had so much fun over there. Like I had a blast. Like I said, I ended up being lucky and winning a couple championships. And that it's funny that you bring that up when I have this sitting right beside me right
Oh wow,
now.
there you go. Dude.
Yeah. So no, it was I had so much fun over there. The people treated me amazing. The team was awesome. We had a great team. Just I tell people all the time because I've played in so many different countries at this point. At the end of the day, baseball is baseball, and you have to get 27 outs, but just
Yeah.
how they go about it's a little bit different. Like the game plan and executions and stuff are different. They focus a lot more on the quantity of stuff instead of just getting like 10 reps right. Is like, hey, let's make sure we do this for like 2 hours instead. So, but as far as like the food and stuff, love the food, love how fresh it was, how like everything was like literally like in front of you. I literally ate so much. They call it yakiniku. We call it Korean barbecue here, but like I ate so much good food over there. It was unbelievable. Like I need to probably start eating like that again.
And what was it like the language barrier there? Did you were able
We
to
had translators.
okay.
So we had translators for the team. We had two in the big leagues, and then you had one in the minors for like all the foreigners, and we could call or text them pretty much whenever if we needed help with anything. But I started kind of learning the language a little bit my second year there, just so I could go out and like order food and order dinner and stuff. Because I had planned on staying over there longer than I did, honestly. But I was trying to learn the language so I could be, more adept to like going out and going to have fun and like not having to worry about the team and like worrying about people like having to be on my back all the time and I could do things by myself. So I found a group of friends that honestly spoke both too. So I would always just go out with them. So if I needed to translate something, I had somebody to always like speak with me.
We have another fan question for you. One of our fans wants to know if you had the opportunity to eat lunch with three people, they want to know who would it be?
Three people. Ooh, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
I think one of those people, if I can make it happen, is LeBron James for
Ooh.
sure.
Yep.
Definitely would put LeBron in there. Jimi Hendrix
Hmm.
and probably Snoop.
Oh yeah. Oh nice. There you go. Three
That would be a cool lunch for me. Like that
yeah,
would be an awesome lunch.
yeah, three two great music people and then one great basketball player. That'd be cool.
One great, and they all, but see, they're all, and then the other two are so good at business and they have
Yeah.
such great legacies
Yeah.
to figure out like how they thought about these things at the same part. Like that's the thing to me. It's not just about like I love like the family aspect of it too, because like Snoop's got a great relationship with his wife and his kids and stuff, and so does LeBron. Like it's I could sit there and talk life to them and be cool. Like that's what I would like.
Hey,
If
speaking
I
of
had a if I had a side if I had to throw one more person in there, it would probably be Barack.
Brock,
Just to,
okay.
I would probably drop Barack in there too.
Nice. Let's go. Yeah, so speaking of LeBron, and obviously they made history this year with his son being on the same court, and you saw Ken Griffey there, and then his father there. So what was that like seeing that moment?
That's unbelievable. Like that's what you strive to do, to be an athlete and then to have a son or even have a daughter, especially to have a son to play your sport and to be able to spend time with them and teach them and have them be good enough to be at that level too and then be on the same court with him. Like you can't explain. That means like you're that great that you can spend that much time in the game at that level, but also that your kid is that good to make it to that level too. And again, like I was just telling somebody the other day, like it's you're at the top 1% of your sport or your job at that point, and it's tough to do for anybody,
Yeah.
especially to do it in two different generations. Like that's crazy to think about.
Yeah, so tell our fans some of your best moments in Japan. You put up some great numbers in Japan. You had some great numbers, and let's talk about some of your best moments there.
Man, best moments are the
Championships,
I
right?
tell people this all the time, but my probably favorite moment is like because you don't realize how many people are there
Yeah,
really, like you don't really think about it while you're like in the game because you're just focused and you're trying to do your job, right? But like when we clinched the first championship that we clinched over there and we got to walk out and they told us that we had to go thank our fans and stuff like that, because unlike in America, in Japan, like it's literally like their whole team, like in their whole stadium is filled with their fans, except for like one section in left field normally.
yeah,
And so, and then that's all your fans. So I thought it was just like our normal little section. And then like one of my teammates tapped me and was like, hey, it's not just that. Like, make sure you look up too. And it's like the whole second deck, like third deck was like nothing but like a sea of red. And I just saw that and I was just like amazed
wow,
by how many people. And like that's one of my coolest moments I ever had because like we clinched the championship that day. And then like to thank our fans and like see how many people were there was awesome.
wow. And you won another championship there too, right? In Japan too, then.
We won three, one
Oh,
back
three.
to back to back.
Oh,
We went back to back to back Central League championships. I went to the Japan series that first year and lost to Otani's team, the Nippon Ham Fighters. The second year we lost in the league semi. We lost in the semifinals to a team, but we were missing a few key players that both got hurt in the series. It was crazy, and we lost that one. And then the third year that we won our league championship, we lost to SoftBank in the championship in the Japan series as well. So I got to go to two Japan series as well, but that's been cool. But um, yeah, we won a couple of them. It was fun. It was, and we had the longest drought at the time, I believe, of not winning a league championship. So
mm.
to break that like streak, that like losing streak for the city was unbelievable. Like that was huge. I love being over there.
Yeah, and speaking of that, talk about what's it like seeing now the growth of baseball in Japan and seeing players getting posted from there to go to the major leagues. And Rotori Sasaki's a name that people are watching and looking forward to seeing in the majors next. So what's it been like seeing that growth of Japan baseball in
That's
Japan?
one of my old teammates too.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yeah. I got to see him back in the day and like talk to him and give him a little bit of advice when I was there for a little bit. But the thing is, like, it's not really grown. Like, it's still the same. Like, we've always had guys get posted from Japan. It's just they're more noticeable now because of the social media, because of the hype that we put behind them, because more honestly because of Otani.
Yeah,
Realistically, now that's really kind of been the game changer has been Otani throughout this whole process. But we've always had those guys. Like when I was over there, I got to play with Hiroki Kuroda.
mm,
Kuroda was posted over here and got to play over here for a bunch of years, you know. So I got to spend time with a lot of those guys and see them get posted. Like against Seiya Suzuki gets
yeah,
posted. I got to play. He was one of my teammates. Like so, I got to see him and play against him and play like on the same team as him at the same time. And then played against Yamamoto, played against who's the guy in Boston?
oh,
Yoshida.
huh,
I played against all of them, you know. So it's not like you only see the best of the best from them come over because a lot of those guys realistically don't want to come over because they can make similar to the same over there and be at home
yeah.
and not have to again do anything different.
All right. Tell you in 2023 you played with the Toronto Blue Jays. Talk about that experience because playing in the AL East is it's the toughest division in baseball, in my opinion. But talk about that experience playing against the Yankees, Red Sox, Orioles, Rays. So talk about that experience in 2023.
That was fun. I was healthy, so that was fun. So that was one of my favorite seasons I've had because that was I went into that season with that mindset. I was like, okay, if I can pitch in the AL East, like I can pitch anywhere. Like this is gonna be fun. Like just make sure that you're ready for it. And I had a blast. Like that was like so much fun to me, especially because we got to make the playoffs too and play in front of the fans in Toronto. The Toronto fans were unbelievable. And literally that year was just so special to me because like I literally when I was at the field, like I could only focus on baseball because of again, they asked about JR because of JR being born as early as he was and me having to literally every off day fly back to Utah and spend time there and then literally get back to Toronto, the day of the game and be there and be present. So like that year was just real special for me in general, but to have that success and pitch in the AL East with everything that was going on is unbelievable.
What was Vladimir Guerrero Jr. like as a teammate?
He's probably I need to throw him in my favorite teammates because he's in the top two. He's in the top two of my favorite teammates of all time
Oh wow.
because he's such a good kid and he works his butt off and um he doesn't get as much credit as he deserves sometimes.
Yeah.
And he's really humble and he just like he doesn't he's like a big teddy bear. Love him. Like love him to death. Like I like the fans and a lot of people expect so much out of him, but if you look at him like as much as he's done so far in his career, like you can't be like unsatisfied with that, especially as an organization or as a fan base. Even if he has a down year here and there, his down years are still like 260 or 270 with like 28, 30 homers and almost
Right.
100 RBIs. Like anybody on any other team would take that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we have another fan question for you. One of our fans wants to know, they're putting you on the spot. They want to know where do you think Juan Soto will land?
Ooh, where do I think he will land or do I think he needs to land?
Actually, yeah, you can say both. Yeah.
Okay. Where I think he's going to land is the New York Mets.
Ooh.
Where I think he needs to land
Mhm.
and has to land if they want to have a shot at winning another World Series is the New York Yankees.
Yeah.
Those are the two right now. I don't see the Dodgers being in play just because like that cap is stupid. If you like,
Yeah.
where's Juan Soto really going to truly fit on that team? He doesn't. That's not a good fit for their team.
Oh,
As good as he is and as great as he is as a superstar, me and Trayvon had this conversation. He
yeah.
just doesn't fit on that team. Like the outfield, it doesn't work. Even if you're moving Mookie back down the second base, it just doesn't as a cohesive unit watch me be proven wrong and the Dodgers do pull this off somehow and just create a super team, which
That's
we don't want to see anyway. But the Yankees need him to balance out that lineup, to add another bat in that lineup to, protect their pitching staff that they have right now. And to have them have another shot at winning or going to a World Series, like they need Juan Soto
yeah.
because they really do. But I think he's going to end up with the Mets, and that's a clean fit too. But then the Mets aren't going to have Pete Alonso. I don't think. I don't think they're going to bring both of them. I
So
think
do you think
Stearns
if
works something out where he gets Soto and then you let Pete walk because then realistically it's not a bad look.
yeah.
You lose the face of the franchise in Pete Alonso, but then you bring in Juan Soto and you got Juan Soto and Francisco Lindor. Like it takes the sting out a little bit. But if you lose out on both of them,
Yeah.
it's a bad look for the Mets.
Yeah.
So I think he ends up going to the Mets, and the Mets probably go with him and Christian Walker.
Ooh, interesting. That's a wow. That's a bold prediction right there. Speaking of so if Soto goes to the Mets, do you think Alonso will go to the Yankees? Because they need a first baseman.
I don't like that fit with him either, though,
Mhm.
because they need another lefty bat over there. Because if you put Pete over with the Yankees, then that's just a really righty heavy
Yeah.
lineup. I think Rizzo goes back to the Yankees.
Mhm.
He should. I feel like he needs to go back to the Yankees, and I don't know where Pete goes. I feel like there's going to be a market for Pete, but Pete might end up going to Arizona. He could go to Arizona and do a lot of damage.
Yeah.
A lot of better pitchers over there, possibly too. But he can go over into that league and do some damage.
Wow. Wow, that's gonna be interesting. Yeah. Oof, man, I can't wait to see until these moves happen. And
I
uh
know. Once one falls is going to be crazy. I think once one falls, like the domino's going to start falling. I just hope for not my sake, but I hope honestly for the rest of these guys' sake that it doesn't fall too late again this year, where you have some guys that
yeah.
get kind of lost in the mix and then they don't sign till spring training or end of spring training or something like that, because that really does hurt a lot of guys' seasons.
Yeah, it hurt Jordan Montgomery. It hurt Blake Snell. I mean that's a problem. Like Scott, his clients usually they wait for the right deal, and but yeah, it's hopefully it goes quicker this year, and including for yourself. And like I said, I hope you get another opportunity also in the league, and you deserve one too. But most recently, you played with the 2024 Twins. Talk about that because this team is still young, up and coming, and they got Carlos Correa, obviously a star player. We don't know what's going to happen there, but there have been a lot of rumors going on that they might sell the team. But let's talk about the Twins overall, your 2024 season, and what was it like being there? And they have a great fan base too.
No, I love the fans there. Their fans are awesome. I mean, their fans probably will talk a little crap about me because of the year I had. But again, um, I love being there. The fans were awesome. The team was awesome. The guys they have on that team are awesome. I still like talk to some of those guys now. Like I love those guys over there, even though kind of with what happened with me
Mhm.
and how I ended my like tenure there. Like I still love all those guys there. They've done an awesome job of like the guys they're putting over there and the places they're putting them, because you have Byron Buxton, you have Carlos Correa, you have Royce. Those are three solid guys to start off with as a core. And then you look at the pitching staff. You got Bailey, you got Joe, you got Pablo. Those are great. And then you got Griffin Jacks over there too, and you got Johan. So you have a solid core of guys that are all like bonded together and they do great things. And then you got Rocco leading them. Rocco's a great manager. Love having Rocco over there. He's such a player's manager. Like, he's a people person. Like he's just out there trying to get guys to do the right things and put them in the right situations for the most part. So my time over there was, I mean, from that aspect, I loved like all the staff that we had over there. But it's just, you know, I just wasn't put in a lot of the right situations at the time. I was trying to pitch through a lot of stuff and, just trying to be a part of the team and help as much as I can. And then the situations that I was in wasn't as great of a situation as I was in Toronto the year before, where they were putting me in some of the better situations
All
that
right.
fit me, like my pitching style more. And like my arsenal changed up a little because we were working on stuff in spring training and stuff like that. So it was trying to make me better, but it was just not, I think it just didn't connect all the dots that it needed to last year. And that's fine. Like I'm not mad about it or anything like that. And then, like I said, me trying to also do all that while having a little banged up knee and shoulder, it doesn't bode well for anybody. So, but fans and city, fantastic. Love everything about that place. Like love it except for when it gets cold
Oh,
in October.
yeah, their future is bright, and they're going to be
Yeah.
fine. They're going to be
Yeah,
back
they're
at
gonna be
the
great.
yeah.
I think they're gonna that the NL Central, I mean the AL Central is gonna be a battleground for the next couple years because they've all done the same things. They've all built around a low cost like core that's going to be there through arbitration for the most part together, and they're all playing solid, fundamentally sound baseball at each place. And I think there's just going to be a matter of, you saw the Guardians this year.
Yeah.
It's going to be a matter of who's going to be on top, and I think you're going to continue to see the AL Central teams have 2 and 3 teams in the playoffs every year.
Yeah. We'll take one more fan question. One of our fans wants to know what's your go-to meal before a game and after a game.
Go to meal before and after a game. Oh man, like I guess I'm playing, so go-to meal before games normally pretty light. Like it'll be like some type of grilled chicken, like grilled or baked chicken with like some veggies and maybe a salad to go with it. Probably, you know, broccoli or green beans or something like that. And then probably rice. I would say to go with it. And then favorite meal after is for sure the meals I had in Japan were the Korean barbecue restaurants we went to, like the little mom and pop, like
Yeah. The
Korean barbecue restaurants, not like the chains,
mm,
because like the mom and pop ones would have like the best cuts of meat, and then like it would be so fresh. Then they would have like all these great veggies that they would come and bring in too. And so I
mm,
would say for sure those were that was my go-to meal after a game. But now I would say after a game's just probably a nice steak and some veggies and a salad, like same thing, just chilling, something just to post up and read a book after the game or play some video games and then go to
mm.
sleep.
Yeah, so two more things before we let you go. Talk about your podcast, the Back podcast. Talk about when you guys started and talk about what's that been like for you guys. And also, the next question is, what do you most look for a team when you when you sign when you get the opportunity this year, hopefully, and what do you look for a team?
I'll answer the last one first because I'll segue that into the Brushback podcast. But when I sign for teams, like I'll try to look for opportunities, the opportunity to be a part of a team that can win a World Series. That's number one because I feel that's realistically the only thing that I'm missing from my career at this
Yeah.
point is not not maybe winning a World Series. I would love to win a World Series. I mean, obviously anybody would love to win a World Series, but just going to a World Series and being part of a team that makes it to a World Series. I want to experience that feeling of what I had in Japan over here for a city as well. So that's the first thing I look for. And then the second thing I look for is like, am I going to have an opportunity to pitch a lot, or are they going to put me in the right situations? Like, are they going to be beneficial to whatever I'm doing? Like, and am I going to be beneficial to them to like reach the goal of like whatever we're like trying to do, especially if it's not a playoff team at that point? Like, okay, you're trying to get your guys to do this. Okay, can I help and make sure I'm doing that? And then I think the third thing is like obviously money. I'm not gonna lie. Like if a team's gonna offer me a better deal somewhere and the situation is like, okay, this is guaranteed and this is not, like, is it closer to home? Like blah blah blah. Like you start piecing stuff together, but like the first two outweigh like the money aspect normally 9 times out of 10, just for a simple fact.
Hmm.
Like I love playing baseball more than I love money.
Yeah.
And then that goes into we started the podcast because I didn't think I was playing last year. So again, so it wasn't about the money. It was about just doing something that we could think that was going to benefit other people and have fun and have a good community around it. And I think we've succeeded with that. You know, we started it off as just a podcast that we were just going to do when we got interviews from some of our old teammates and friends, and mainly just African American guys, just because the numbers of African Americans in baseball are so low that just having people hear their stories hopefully would bring them and bring more attention to it and have them join and not just join but like be great and love the game of baseball and just talk about it and hear these other guys' stories. And as it's progressed, it's been more of me and Trayvon just talking about baseball and the updates and what's going on and just making sure we're keeping in contact with each other to give, our fans and people that do listen to it something to hear from us and just something to, you know, keep them updated with what we're doing and how life's going and just have something that's positive for the people. We want to make sure that we try to keep it truly positive. And so that's that's the podcast, the brushback.
Hey,
It's awesome.
and it's a good one too. And fans, whoever's tuning in now, please go follow them on Instagram, the Back Podcast. They do a great job breaking down the game of baseball, talk about all things baseball, and we've seen a few episodes already, and you guys do a great job. You guys feed off each other, and you guys make a great dynamic duo as podcast hosts. So keep up the great work there. And thank you, Jay Jackson, for joining the show, and thank you to our fans for tuning in and asking great questions to Jay. And I hope he gets another opportunity in this free agency, and we're going to continue staying connected, obviously, and following your journey, and and wishing you best of luck, and then obviously your rehab and feeling healthy, and hopefully team. I mean, you never know. Maybe you'll be pitching for the Dodgers, Yankees. You never know. But keep up the great work, and we'll stay connected.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on here again.
Yeah,
It's been a pleasure.
thank you.